My dear countrymen, 36 years ago, most Zimbabweans simply wanted the war of liberation to end. Unfortunately, in the process, some critical lessons from history were overlooked and dangerous assumptions made that have led us to where we are today. Think about this. By 1980, a chaotic 2 decades of independence in Africa had already seen 40 successful coups and many attempted ones. And Ghana, the first African country to gain self-rule, had become, in the words of Martin Meredith, a wasteland, a society that was crumbling at every level after 23 years of mismanagement, plunder, and corruption. Zimbabwe today is well on its way to becoming a wasteland, a society that is crumbling at every level because of the dangerous assumption we made that we were different. All we wanted was an end to the war and to have a black majority government, and we, or rather our brilliant leaders, would build a prosperous nation for us. As much as our leaders have let us down, and we are right to seek to change them, it is also important to remind each other that in the post-colonial period in Africa, many popular uprisings have brought about changes of government, but few changes in the fortunes of the people. In order for the change we want to truly address the challenges we face, what is needed first and foremost is a different kind of citizen. Leaders with integrity must emerge from a citizenry that no longer cedes all its power to those who represent it. It is important to learn the lesson from history that Africa's version of representative democracy often produces tyrants and incompetent leaders who turn on the people that put them in power and plunder the resources of the countries they lead. Leaders must emerge from a citizenry that doesn't owe them excessive honor because of the citizens' ownership of the struggle. Zimbabwe is way on its way to becoming a wasteland because of leaders who feel it is their right to rule and who refuse to be held accountable because they claim to be the only ones who made sacrifices to free our country from colonial rule. Leaders must emerge from a citizenry that will not accept the imposition of candidates for their constituencies by any political party, when many among them have the capacity to bring about the transformation they need. No longer must citizens accept that only the commissars of the party know best who should represent them, and they must begin to encourage their sons and their daughters, including those in the diaspora, to respond to the challenge of leadership. Leaders must emerge from a citizenry that refuses to accept the minimizing of its pain or the silencing of its cry by those in power. No one knows your suffering more than you. The children who can no longer go to school because you cannot afford school fees are your children. The fathers and mothers who died prematurely in horrendous hospital conditions are your parents. The young people who are beaten on the streets by the riot police and incarcerated and tortured for demanding accountability from what is supposed to be their government but has now become the oppressor that has destroyed their future are your fellow citizens. My dear countrymen, a citizenry that reclaims its power will no longer be satisfied with the crumbs that fall off of ZANU-PF's table or that of any other political party. It will be a different kind of citizenry, fully engaged in securing the rights, benefits, and privileges of citizenship, and fully able to enforce the accountability of the leaders it chooses as stewards of its future. This is Dr. Noah Manyika from Build Zimbabwe saying, this is no longer time for someone else to fight your fight. Is there not a cause?